guy around.
What about the people he murdered?
What murder?
Welcome back to the Hishaku Hideout, a weekly podcast where we talk about the latest chapter and everything Kagurabachi. I'm here with Dice.
Yo.
Today we're getting into chapter 121, but before we begin, I'd like to remind you to join our Discord. The link will be in the description below. Like this video and subscribe to the channel as well as become a member. We have 2 different tiers, so join the Hideout, and thanks to our members right now. Alright, Dice, so how you feeling about this chapter?
Ridiculous, huh? Just
Crazy.
Yeah, I'm pretty speechless, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I guess to address the first thing, I don't think anyone expected to get Shiba's sorcery at this point, like at the Hiroshima talks, you know what I mean? And, my God, that was like, came out of nowhere. I was like, oh shit, it's cracked.
Yeah, it's like Yato, whom we recently had on stream, put out a tweet that it's like, I think everybody kind of felt the same thing when we saw that panel that starts with like Shiba sorcery ...
It's on bated breath.
Yeah, I think everybody was just as surprised.
And I mean, I gotta say, like, the standout for this chapter, we'll get into it, but it's Mashiro for me.
Yeah, I mean, them boys got packed up.
Boy, did they. And it's funny, like, when that chapter came out saying Akamura's like form, like, has infinite forms, or the Magatsumi has infinite forms, I was like, oh, it's a moth. He has all these things. I did bring up Scorpion. It looks like that's Ariu's toting a scorpion.
Yeah, I mean, and that is, we're kind of starting all over the place here, but yeah, that is such a crazy panel. It looks insane. Like, it looks so good, man. Like, the spirit energy manifestation of the scorpion is so good, and the way Hokazono went about like illustrating it, even the aura is like, oh man, I'm so here for this.
Crazy, but you said we kind of all over the place. We can get back to square one, starting off where 120 left off, and Ariu ate that goddamn big hunk of iron that was thrown at him.
Yeah, no, he tanked that shit, man, and
like a Chad.
It came at a great cost, right? Because we see how his body's looking after taking like the blunt of that impact, right? Or the brunt of that impact. But yeah, the sorcery, which we'll get into in a bit, we'll get more into in a bit, allows him to heal himself. And so nothing but a scratch, even as Hiroto kind of follows up with his own strike, and hits him with the Kurotsuchi. Yeah, what I say?
Me, boy. No, you said it right. I was just saying that boy Hiroto's moving me.
Yeah.
Like, they knew even that is not going to take Ariu out. They were prepared for, like, the follow-up. You know what I mean? Like, Hiroto's coming in, the sword slash, catches him in the shoulder. Then, like, knows the sorcery isn't going to work. So, he, like, basically just wants to drag him down, and using it on himself. But, one thing I wanted to say, too, is, like, Ariu, it is nice to see that boy, like, actually react to getting hit. And, like, he felt that shit, though. He's grimacing. Yeah. That boy felt that shit. I mean, hopefully so, right? But, like, seeing his face like that was, like, so expressive after, he's just been looking like a wet Eren Yeager this whole time. It's kind of nice.
Yeah, this whole time he hasn't really been breaking a sweat. And, yeah, I like you said, the fact that we actually see him struggle a bit here. Shout out to Hiroto, because he's completely willing to go down with Ariu, just like he says, willing to take him to the bottom of the earth with himself. But also we do get confirmation, which a lot of people already had accurately predicted, that Sumika is this ability that we've been kind of theorizing about. It's the ability that allowed the Mikaboshi King to reconstruct the environment all those years ago, saving the Mikaboshi and their people. And it's the same ability that they can use to kind of alter the air, that toxic air that we saw. I think it was last chapter or a couple chapters back. And yeah, we get more lore on what that specific power is. It does feel like a slight, I don't want to say retcon, but it, when you look at chapter 119 and the way that power is talked about, and then, by the end of the chapter, we see Ariu say Sumika, and it, kind of looking back on it now, it is pretty much spelled out that that was the same ability this whole time. But here, the reconstruction of the environment is only stated to be an effect, a side effect of what the real ability of the sorcery is, or power is, which is, to annihilate the enemy, which is like a ridiculous power in itself, right? And to me, felt like a subtle callback, once again, to the Magatsumi, the enchanted blade crafted to kill enemies, explicitly stated that way. It did feel like a little callback and another parallel between these Mikaboshi abilities and the Magatsumi. So there's a lot to this chapter, man. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I think like the stuff with Sumika, because we know that like the 6 Mikaboshi guardians, obviously like we have our 6 EB wielders, how that's coming into play. We do see like the spirit manifestation for the first like time in the whole universe, like usage here. But like that Sumika stuff, when he used it, that's when Hiroto first used Kuratsuchi on him, correct? And basically I'm wondering, because as you were mentioning now, it's like creating, like changing the field for an advantageous position or advantageous environment. I'm thinking, like that's just a side effect of Sumika, but it was also kind of like what Sumika means or what it translates to. It's
like dark soil or something like that, I think you had said.
It was either that or it means like a dwelling place, residence, or lair in Japanese. So like that could almost make like kind of relate to like the true realm, as kind of how I was like phrasing it when that chapter first dropped. And I think there's a lot, or I hope that we get a bit more information or go a little bit deeper on this like original Mikaboshi clan head, and his prayers to the Datanseki, and how that manifested their sorcery like throughout the to like change or influence their sorcery, to change throughout the 1,000 years, and like the Sumika being able to basically nullify the sorcery, opponent sorcery. Like him using that the first time, they were already kind of going under the like a spell, or dealing with like their senses being dulled and all that, and that was before Sumika was used. And then we see Sumika, and was like after Kuratsuchi was used on him, and he was like kind of levitating, right? I think Ariu was like levitating up a bit from that, basically saying that like that sorcery is not working on him. That extra gravity hit or mass pulling him down is can't work on him because he activated Sumika. I have to go back and look at that, but I think there's more to this Sumika thing. But I feel like it's like might have like some connections or ties to like the true realm, or the like what we call the true realm, it kind of for the Mikaboshi.
Oh yeah, I mean, very much so, right? And by the way, like the whole toxic air stuff, that all is after the Sumika.
Okay, that was after. 'Cause I thought that played into also like Mashiro getting impaled, could have happened before that moment, but that could have just been just a crazy speed feat if that's what it was. I forgot if that was like how that talked about.
Yeah, it is kind of starting to the Mashiro, the way he kind of the whole reflection with the water and the way he goes at Mashiro does seem to be just a crazy speed feat by the look of it, really, because he does say the Sumika towards the end of that chapter, after that all takes place and we get the lore dump on the, how the Mikaboshi came across the Datanseki, and you just alluded to the True Realm. I think it very much is, a result of tapping into the True Realm. Chapter 119 kind of phrases it as such. We get the whole kind of narration about the reconstruction of the environment, and how that divine power was wielded by the king to make a place devoid of air and light into like a habitable environment, right? And that's when it kind of says it reaches a realm far beyond mere fortification magic. The Guardians can draw upon the true realm of the Datanseki. So I think that is pretty much what Ariu has been doing here.
And I mean, that being an after, like just an after effect of the, is kind of that's pretty insane. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, your sorcery doesn't work on me, and we heal like crazy.
Yeah, because it's the way the Sumika's been, phrased. It's kind of like different ways, right? Like you said, for the wielder, it heals themselves and it nullifies the enemy sorcery attacks. But then for the enemy, it dulls their senses. And again, this is all just like a side effect. Being like the creation of like an advantageous environment that is only just a side effect of the real power, which is, to annihilate the enemy. It's just wild stuff, man.
A death scorpion that shoots invisible laser bomb. Like what? The three hole punch scorpion, we're gonna call that thing. It's funny. It's so like kind of the original clan leaders like prayers to the Datanseki stone to it's almost kind of like it answered to his prayers and gave them the ability to he tapped into the true realm, gave him to like create this inhabitable ball, even though the island got sunk, and basically saved their clan and allowed them to continue living onward. And now it's like we, obviously that being the case of the information we got already, it's crazy. It's like that's how they're getting it back in blood. Like we prayed to this thing and it answered our call, it answered our prayers, it saved our clan. Not only that, by the way, it's given us the ability to where your sorcery doesn't work on us. We heal, we can gift, and we can also heal others. We can pass that gift along. The 6 Mikaboshi guardians, by the way. It's like, I see their it's like they definitely are like moving with like, I don't even know how to phrase it, man. It's just very they're moving crazy, but like yeah. Like considering what their past was and who, like, especially like going up against the guy that's been glazed like crazy, Hiroto Soga. It's almost like they're just desserts against the Soga clan, like, in the terms of like how they view it. And also like these 6 Mikaboshi guardians, we also got to think like they are like mirroring the enchanted blade wielders, and we see how the enchanted blade wielders are viewed in Japan. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, they seem like gods, and like how people talk about Samura, you know what I mean? And with Toby Mune in the war, it's like, okay, they talk about him like he's a god.
Yeah, and you bring up a very good point, because that's exactly how the Mikaboshi Guardians seems to be, revered. When we, again, in chapter 119, we see how Ariu is kind of walking and,
just grabbing random babies' faces and
the people got their hands up, just kind of like, just trying to, touch him. Yeah, no, it's crazy. And like you said, like Hiroto got insane glaze a couple of chapters back. We still haven't gotten to like Shiba's sorcery reveal and what that whole thing is specifically. And Ariu and the way Sumika is talked about in this chapter just kind of overshadows all of that. So it just kind of speaks to just how crazy and ridiculous this ability is, right? And I didn't even mention, I know you talked about the scorpion, but like the whole annihilate the enemy, it comes accompanied with that spirit energy manifestation and reaction, you know? So, you know, just like we see with the enchanted blades as well, and their spirit energy manifestations. So yeah, I am very much digging the constant parallels between the, you know, Ariu and the Guardians, which we'll see later on, and the enchanted blades and their wielders. It's very nice.
Yeah, and it's like it's been obvious, or you know, as we've kind of like progressed through the battle in Hiroshima, it's it's more evident than ever why the war was just at a standstill when the first 5 enchanted blades made the scene. You know,
Yeah,
because like it's gonna take something something pretty crazy to take this out. And
yeah, like Magatsumi.
Yeah, and that's crazy.
Yeah.
And that's what's like, I guess there's levels to this shit in Kagurabachi, right? Shiba, we know Shiba's like stationed in the story, pinnacle of sorcery, he's glazed. You know, the fandom won't let you forget about that, by the way. And, no, I'm just playing. And like, you know, he's a dog. Like, he's got a cracked sorcery. You know, his usage of it, like, he's just, and you know, also, like, I know I give Shiba shit and all that, but like, truthfully, I mean, Shiba, like, in character, just viewing him like objectively, he's a guy that doesn't want to see people die. That's, I mean, except the guys that he be dropping from like way the fuck up. But like,
Yeah.
Norisaku Madoka, you know, the Sazanami, you know, the Toe, like Enji and Tamaki. You know, he wanted to kind of like course correct them in a sense. He doesn't, instead of taking their life if they don't need to. And, you know, that's like for the pinnacle of sorcery and like the guy that everyone's kind of like in awe of in the series in terms of like sorcerers, you know, that's how you would hope it to be. You know what I mean? And for him to get this like reveal of his crazy ass sorcery, Hiroto get the craziest glaze the chapter prior, just for Ariu just to like end it because he was holding back this whole time and he could have ended it instantly if he wanted to. You know, it's like just to show you like, then there's the Magatsumi. You know what I mean? Like, we need to see the Magatsumi go head to head with Ariu, bro. Like, to see what, like, you know what I mean? Like, how much did Ariu push Akamura?
Yeah. No, I mean,
You know
I've been saying that's the fight. That's the fight to see, man. That's
because it can't be
one.
that drastic of a difference. You know, it can't be where like Akamura is just, you know, because we know like the treaty was signed and that has to happen after Ariu is defeated, because he's, you know, the prince. He's like their guy. If he, you know, when he falls, that should like shut morale down. But we know that doesn't happen for quite some time. So, you know, I can't wait to see that fight, to see how much does Ariu push Akamura. Like, is it like a, you know, they either one of them could have won type of thing, and it's just Akamura landed the last, you know, got the last, you know, had the last trick up his sleeve or something.
Yeah. No, I mean, I've been looking forward to that fight for a minute now. Like, the moment Ariu started going crazy, it just really felt to me like, oh, this is gonna be Akamura's matchup. Like, it just makes sense, and with every chapter, it's really like looking like that more and more. So, yeah, that's the fight I'm waiting for. But let's talk about your favorite guy. What do you think, Shiba?
Hiroto Soga, right? So now my boy Hiroto. Like,
Hiroto's cooked, man. Him and
Yo.
Yoshinojo, body bag. We'll get to Mashiro in a bit as well, but
yeah, Shiba's like 19 here, like 18, 19, something like that. And Shiba, 19 years prior to this, a baby was born in the world, and sorcery dictated him as an error. They were like, yeah, we know this kid's an error. Look at him.
Yeah.
So, you know, we'll give him this sorcery. This cracked sorcery to make up for it. Nah, I'm just playing. It's
He's
a crazy ass
mistake.
sorcery, bro. Yeah.
It is, man. Itazura. Yeah, Itazura, right? Wicked
Ooh,
trick.
never mind. I was about to go on a tangent about an old shoujo anime called Itazura no Kiss, but you're not that guy, pal. All right, I'm just playing. My bad, Days.
No, so like, a lot of fancy verbiage for what is ultimately a glitch in the system. Really, that is what Shiba is. The way the word, it says enables him to activate a momentary error. And I think it's important to point out the way error is like in italics and for himself and whomever he touches. So like the way I see that is basically he is like a glitch within reality itself. He's a glitch in the world, a glitch in the system, however you want to see it. So, freely manipulating their positional information in terms of, again, himself and whomever he comes in contact with. That's, like I said, just a fancy way to say teleportation. I think what really stands out here, and it's what we see him use for the second time in this story, presumably, is the way he's able to manipulate, again, not just the positional information, but physical properties such as height, weight, and so on. You talked a bit about Madoka in terms of like how he tried to redeem him. There's that one moment where he's like stepping on him and just completely like shatters the ground underneath their feet. And this seems to be exactly what he was doing, what he does to Ariu this time around, which is manipulating his own weight to kind of match Kurotsuchi, which is an insane feat, by the way, and try to hold Ariu back. We know how that turned out, not too successful. But it seems to be a very interesting and cracked sorcery. I'm very much looking forward to see the other applications, like how the hell is it going to look like when he manipulates his height? It's manipulation of physical properties is such like a wide and there's so much you can really do with that. I am wondering what everything else looks like. Is he gonna like stretch his fucking hand? At some point, is he just gonna turn huge? At some point, there's a lot here. I'm not sure how I feel about it just yet, but I like the reveal.
Yeah, I like what happens after the reveal personally, but I'm just playing. Yeah, it's a cool sorcery. It's momentary. He has to be touching them, but the fact of something like that, it only requires a momentary usage to like, because we get the reveal here just to kind of show like the enchanted blades are above sorcery, and the Mikaboshi guardians are like the enchanted blade wields for the Mikaboshi. So obviously, like, I think this just kind of like, recontextualizes that. And this reveal isn't really like this reveal, I think it was handled well for like what everyone's been like looking for Shiba, seeing that his sorcery is something that's like, he's no mere teleporter. Like it's his station in the story, I think it does like it does serve that, respectfully. It gives us enough to see like what's the so on exactly gonna be, and how is he gonna what's the application gonna be at what point. I don't expect to see Shiba use this more than just teleportation too many times, you know what I mean? Of course, obviously that, I mean more so in like present time, because we could see him using the war and stuff like that a little bit more. I mean, maybe he does get 2 or 3 more fights or something like that. We just don't know what Hokuzono really has in store for us, because I did not expect something like this in the flashback arc, to be honest. Obviously we're eating good as hell, but I think the reveal is handled really well. I think it, the ceiling for what he can do with this is pretty high. But there's also, we know, like, this isn't something where he could just he can't just pull up on Akamura and like, shit's sweet, you know what I mean? It's like, it's handled well within the universe, in terms of like where the powers, be. But yeah, I think it was handled well executed. I think it's, a cool reveal. And yeah, Mashiro was hella confident in Shiba though.
Yeah, he was, right? So you've been talking about since the last chapter about how he was overexerting himself, doing what he was doing to try to hit Ariu with that, what does he call it? Huge chunk of iron. And so like here he tries to do like use his sorcery again as Hiroto and Shiba are weighing Ariu down, and Yoshinojo's going in for the he's going in for a strike, and Mashiro's using his sorcery. Yeah, demon, but
he got stabbed through and lost an arm. That motherfucker's still just pushing forward.
Yeah, and that's when Ariu says enough with the shits, locks in, uses the real power of Sumika, and just completely bodies Yoshinojo.
World Combat character comes out. Get over here.
Yeah, and look, we also talked about this a couple of episodes back. What is it with Hokuzono and having these characters announce when it's the climax, right? Like Hokuto does it, Yoshinojo does it, Ariu does it, and yeah, the three hole attack, whatever you
scorpion.
Yeah, man, he just punching holes through these guys, literally. And we see Yoshinojo, we see Hiroto, and then lastly, behind Shiba, we see Mashiro. And yeah, it's not a good sight.
I did say Mashiro is for sure like the highlight of this chapter for me. And one other thing I do want to talk about is the Soga clan is painted as this top one sorcery clan. They basically make shit work. The Soga princess, all these things that make them super influential and a high status. Hiroto and Yoshinojo they never gave off the air of like being like reigning their superiority over like Mashiro or Shiba or nothing like that. Like Hiroto's like genuinely worried for Mashiro. You know what I mean? It's not like he's just like a means to like just along for the fight. It seems like they were like, who knows, Yoshinojo does look like a dirtbag low key, but I did like just kind of like the subtle like nuance of like those characters because they are Soga and we know what kind of like status they have. I thought that was pretty cool, honestly. It's something that is understated, but I kind of did like that.
Yeah, I do like Mashiro's little backstory at the end of this chapter, and we've talked about like how Mashiro's character is basically just going to be used as kind of like a window for us to get to know Shiba more, and the person he was and how the war kind of impacted him before he's the guy that we meet at the beginning of Kagurabachi. And that's exactly what we start getting here. I think it is very, very well done. And I do have a question for you. Does it look like in that one panel after Mashiro, he gets hit with that scorpion attack, and Shiba kind of looks at him, and the third panel, that has to be when Shiba handed him Kunishige's katana, right?
Yeah,
it does look
so.
like a flashback kind of panel, right? I just want to confirm that. So it is very touching. Honestly, I would agree. If it wasn't for just how much there is in this chapter, especially in regards to like what we see from Ariu, I would say that Mashiro and the way he goes out, and again that little backstory, that short backstory and interactions with Shiba, early interactions, I would say that is also the highlight of this chapter, because I think it is very well done, and it does resonate. It's like he says he was just a nothing but a runt, and it's exactly why he got paired with Shiba, and they immediately just kind of kicked it off. So, or hit it off
Yeah.
rather. So
You know, with him like looking back at, you know, he says hero because like he sees the other two getting clapped up, and you know he's worried about Mashiro, and he looks back and you know he remembers the moment he gave, you know, Mashiro Kunishige's
Yes.
sword, and Mashiro on his, you know, dying breath, you know, he doesn't like try to like say anything. He doesn't like, what he does is he uses the last bit of like existence he has to try and save Shiba. You know,
Yeah.
he launches that very same blade that Shiba handed him, you know, to, you know, thrust it using his sorcery, the last move that he'll make in his life, to try and save Shiba. You know, but that's what you know Shiba meant to him, and like obviously you could say, oh well, that's just he didn't really have anything else to do. But I mean, like the fact that we get in that panel of him handing it to him, it's like, you know, Shiba can remember the day he handed it to him, and now he's seeing that someone he genuinely, you know, made a connection with, you know, and maybe Shiba's backstory is similar to Mashiro's, and maybe he saw something in him. But you know, of course, Ariu's got to fuck that up by catching the sword and then slashing Shiba in the throat with it. You know, it's like Ariu's really just fucking up all kinds of these beautiful moments, or like it's just like he's just shitting on everything on that island. He's like, Ariu's letting his nuts hang, and he really
That's
like
the
just
accurate
slashes Shiba's throat, and you know, then he just kind of takes Shiba along for a little walk. But we do get the, you know, the memories of like, you know, seeing like, or the flashback of seeing Shiba kind of being a bad influence, low key. But I think it's just like
nothing new.
that's their facts. Fucking glitch. The Shiba, just like I say, his backstory could be similar. You know, it could have been like maybe something his folks kicked him out, or you know, he lost his parents and he was kind of just trained. So Shiba has this kind of like, you know, this like way about him, this angst about him. And I mean, plus Shiba's only like 19 here as well, so it's not like Shiba's like a fully grown man. You know, he's making memories with a fellow like teenager, if you want to like look at it like that. I mean, obviously I know like their job is pretty important and all that, but you know, it's the fact that they did make a connection. And you know, seeing like Mashiro's like as he dies, it like really hit for me. Like it landed really, really well. Mashiro, like obviously we call them Haibara from JJK and things like that, but this is Haibara done right. You know, this is, give us like something to grab onto, like just like something like to chew on a bit for like a true character arc. And even though it was, you know, what, only like 8-9 chapters we've got of this flashback arc, and Mashiro's been in damn near almost every one, it's like I really like his character arc. He's moved up a lot for me. I think the send-off was beautiful. I mean, like I said, it's wrapped up in a shitty package in terms of like you know, the fallout of the battle, but I mean, it's a beautiful death in a sense. You know, like in terms of like how it made me feel. Like it sucks. You know, I wish it could have been a glorious sacrifice where he saved, you know, but that's the whole point of this shit. It's like this threat, you know, does not allow for such reservations, you know, or such allowances, excuse me.
Yeah, I think the whole thing just really, really works. And again, it just starts to really like characterize Shiba in a way that hasn't been done before. I think the way that Shiba immediately thinks of when he handed Mashiro Kunishige's blade, and then it just cuts back to, like you said, Mashiro using, you know, his last bit of energy to make one last play at Ariu's life, and then the way Ariu just completely shits on that and uses that same blade to cut Shiba's throat. which is like also like very interesting to think about. Like that's Kunishige's blade being used to harm Shiba right there. After, you know, Mashiro wasn't able to do what he wanted to do. I think it all just really works. And, you know, we get that crazy page, you know, the Hiroshima talks end, right? And it just kind of transitions us as we see the two Sogas just lying dead, and Mashiro as well, and Shiba's being dragged. We get like the narration from Mashiro and when he met Shiba, and like you said, how Shiba was a bad influence. We get that panel again of when Shiba handed over the blade and his arm over his shoulder, and you know that you know, who else could it be, like, and then it cuts to like Mashiro dead on the ground, a close-up. It is really touching, man. It is really touching. And then, you know, you swipe the page or you turn the page and you see like Shiba, and like his, like, you just know it's, everything is kind of like flashing before his eyes as he's being dragged away, and he's wondering why Ariu left him alive. He even tries to get away, and Ariu says nope. You know, it's I think it's so well done, like the way Hokuzono transitions from one moment, one sequence to another, and the way he, you know, gives us another chapter with so much substance and manages to squeeze in a whole like exit for Mashiro that like fleshes out a little bit more of his character, and also says a lot about like Shiba's character. I just think this chapter is really, really, really well done. And, you know, the fact that Ariu is also like, oh, I didn't intend to use this power today, but you guys surprised me. It's like, oh my God, like this guy was, you know, it's like you said, he was holding back, and he just realized that these guys were really serious and the caliber of combatants and sorcerers that they were. And he just had to lock in. But everything is just a really good execution from Hokuzono's part. I guess I'm as not surprised, but impressed would be a more accurate word, as Ariu, because I was not expecting like this much kind of packed into this kind of chapter. And yeah, and I do agree, like Mashiro's exit and the way he's going out here is more than I was expecting. So yeah, it really works.
Yeah, it's well done, all that like everything on that in that regard. I mean, honestly, I think the story beats of this chapter has just been well executed. And, you know, cutting back to like the events as you know, Shiba's getting dragged back, we do see 3 of the 4 Datanseki Durag guards back up, you know, just aura farming in their original position. You know, as the, you know, we went in there, 7 Japanese people went to that island. Or, I mean, I guess technically in Mikaboshi are Japanese. But 7 people from Japan went to that island. Only 1 of them is leaving. Whereas, like, 6 Mikaboshi went to that island, and 5 are going back home. You know, like, the fallout of these the Hiroshima talks, you know, this battle in Hiroshima is heavily shows you, or just how much it's the war is like heavily favored for the Mikaboshi, and obviously we know that already.
No, but it's not a good ratio.
Yeah, it surprises me that Japan held out as long as they did for the Enchanted Blades to, you know, hit the scene low key. That was, you know, one thing that like I was like, oh, I mean, you know, we know that they're not all gonna be. We saw that they could deal with like the Durag force to some degree. Like even like Mashiro got rid of one of them, and we also know that that's the king's force, so they should be a you know, a degree stronger than the average fighter. We also don't know how deep their forces actually are. Just because it was 200,000 on an island don't mean all 200,000 are actual soldiers, because we saw like women and children, you know.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see exactly what the Mikaboshi army consists of, you know, once we get to that point. But and it's going to be interesting now to see Shiba's testimony for real, because now we know what he saw. We still don't know what happened with like Ariu floating and shit in that end of that one chapter. But I mean, maybe that could have just been like a horrible depiction of like it was something crazy, bro. I have no idea, because I mean, that's just one thing that's just a big question mark to me of like what happened there. You know, it could just be a weekly fatigue thing, and you know, I'm not sure. On a weekly fatigue would mean in terms of Hokuzono's part of like where one ended and the other began. But what was crazy to me is this motherfucker Ariu got the sofa, dragged that shit to where Shiba was, and just to sit on it in front of him. He's dragging furniture. That's crazy, bro.
Yeah, man. Yeah, bro. That dude is on a whole nother level of aura farming.
Bro, just stand up. Like, we know you can heal and shit. Like, so you should be. You look good. You look 100%, homie. Just stand up and talk to him.
Nah, you don't get it. He's like, I have to strike that pose I struck earlier. I struck earlier.
Did they leave the couch there, by the way? You know, is that a Datan Seki infused couch? Nah.
But it is crazy.
Yeah, I thought it was crazy. That man dragging that sofa like that.
Yeah, and like the fact that he heals, he uses his sorcery to heal Shiba just enough to keep him alive so he can go back and let the others know just what is coming, just the kind of power that the Mikaboshi wield. And we get all the names of everybody that died, including the delegates, and Shiba's just on the ground as Ariu is striking that pose, kind of like a callback to a couple of chapters back when he was sitting down in the same way and everybody was kind of like surrounding him, Hiroto, Yoshinojo, Shiba, and Mashiro. And now it's just Shiba, and he's just laying on the ground, slain, half dead, The
Soga, you notice the Soga in that moment, like, that's a good shout by you, because the Soga were standing above him and like almost like they were superior, like their station, their what we know about them, from all of that, everything at that moment, like we took it as like the Soga are like superior to the Mikaboshi in terms of like how the story depicted everything. But we know why Ariu wasn't tripping on that, because at the end he is going to be the one that's like towering over whoever's left.
Yeah, he is, just like they survived back then. He is the one that's left. That is that is a nice thing to point out. That's very interesting. Just a crazy chapter. My thoughts have been a bit all over the place, really, because there's just so much to talk about and get into it. It's just a lot, man.
The title for the chapter drop was like gas towards the end. As you point out, like Shiba his throat being slit by Kunishige's blade. What's funny is like there's people who like blame Kunishige for the things that happened in the war and all that. We see things about Kunishige even from like the fandom that like kind of have like unsavory things to be said about Kunishige. But like, it's not like Shiba's gonna get up from this and blame Kunishige for his throat being slit. You know what I mean? Like, just because Kunishige's blade, like that. I don't know. Like I've come to like really, really, really like Kunishige's character and like think he's like one of the best characters in the story. And like when I see Kunishige hate, I just like, I don't get it. Like the man was just answering a call to like save his country, like what do you, that's a different subject for another time, obviously. That's like a deep thing. But it's like I was like thinking to myself when like going through it, that was like one of my first thoughts, like it's not like Shiba's gonna like blame Kunishige for getting his throat slit, even though it was Kunishige's blade. It's like people place blame on Kunishige because he created like the Magatsumi, but even Yura says the blades are, anyone can enslave them.
Yeah, well, you're also going to start seeing a lot of people after this chapter saying like, hey, Kunishige, I get it. Makes sense. Yep. You know, you did your thing, Kunishige. I get it, you know, because after seeing this performance by Ariu and, you know, all the effort that went into taking him down and they were still unsuccessful, you know, I think, yeah, people aren't really going to, blame Kunishige for what he forged when this is the kind of power that the Mikaboshi were wielding. But yeah, you know, Mashiro, man, just to,
I love it too. Mashiro is not the Kabanabi higher up. I told you. And guess what? That guy that was sitting across, he's confirmed dead. Now, maybe you think, me and Dice kind of talked about it. I'm of the belief that, that no one, Hishaku was not on that island. I personally think both those theories are completely dead. And for me, it's a good day.
Just because those people had those theories wrong? You're such a hater.
Oh, hey, welcome to the club. My theories be wrong all the time, homie. Welcome to the club.
You're so petty. But no, yeah, no, I think that's what you're saying is, I mean, I for sure think Mashiro's done here. I don't think there's any way he's that other Kamunabi that people were talking about. And though I can still see kind of like a way for one of the delegates, the delegate that lost his eye, for him to be Hishaku, it is, not looking likely because he also died. And so that's that, so I do agree. It's looking like both of those theories are pretty much, done for. So yeah, but man, like Mashiro, it's like we already talked about, like the way he goes out, man, and the, again, that backstory that we get, we didn't really talk about this, but he says that his folks kicked him out when he was little. The Sorcery Bureau took him in. He's never experienced any real warmth, Oh man, and then he goes out like this. It's just so good, man. And like, again, the piece of narration that is like, oh, so where was I? Oh, the reason I'm Shiba's partner, it's obvious. Who else could it be? Oh man, and then it cuts to him dead. Like, it's just, and I know we already talked about this, but just looking at it as we're still recording, it just really works, man. It really works. It's I think you're onto something when you say like it's Haibara done right. Not that Haibara was necessarily done wrong, but this is a more fleshed out version of that in a way that, for me personally, just resonates a lot more with the reader. Yeah, I really like this chapter, man. I really, really, really like this chapter.
Gas chapter for sure. But I guess that'll do it for us. Dice, you have any final thoughts or anything you want to get out?
No, man. Excited for next chapter and see, the preparation for the war. Now we're
reaction to. Wait. What do you mean, Shiba? What happened?
Yeah.
Where's Hiroto? Please tell me where's Hiroto.
Yeah, it's we're gonna get into it now for real. So I'm really looking forward to what ultimately we've all been waiting for at this point. So
yeah, Shiba's gonna go to Kunishige and be like, bro, they had this scorpion pop out of nowhere. He was shooting invisible lasers. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy.
you need to give a blind man a sword about birds or something. That's the only way.
And it's crazy because like everybody else who was there with him is dead, right? So it's not like anybody can back him up, but the deaths speak for themselves. It's like, yo, Hiroto, that guy with the Kurotsuchi sorcerer, like the best man walking on Earth, like probably one of the most powerful beings on Earth. Yeah, he got clapped, packed up, body bag, Yoshinojo.
I think he shit himself before he died too, by the way, just to let y'all know.
Wait, no, that was
the Soga.
That was my shit. Wait, my fault.
Yeah, Yoshinojo, he's making out with a hot dog in the corner for some reason.
Oh, but man, no, like real talk, Shiba's broken. I'm really That's another thing I guess I'm looking forward to. How does he bounce back from this? How does he look like entering the war? What sort of resolve, right? It's that's what I'm saying. Like now we're gonna get into the good stuff. Now it's when it's actually gonna start. So
I'm about to say we've been getting the good stuff. Oh damn. But
oh
now
yeah.
like
You know what I mean
the
though.
thriller,
The war.
yeah, nah.
Yeah.
And if y'all are wondering if I'm signing that Shiba apology form today, no, it will not be today.
We got a sorcery reveal and you're still not signing that shit. It's just,
Bro,
like I said, you're just being petty at this point.
What? I'm just saying. I just want to see him, not beat up. A guy who was tied up. He used his sorcery on Madoka when he was tied up. Oh, okay. He beat up Tenri. What, 18-year-old, 17-year-old. So.
Oh, so you expected him to solo Ariu here? That's the type
he
of shit
should
you need to
have.
see.
Yep. That's how
God.
Shiba people be moving. Shiba Glazers be moving.
God, you're insufferable.
Shiba, no, this is a. Hey, I'm allowed to still not like the guy. But
yeah, I'm just
this was a great chapter for Shiba.
Yeah, not so much for Mashiro and the other two Soga. Even though, like I said, Mashiro.
I think everybody was moving like a demon. It's just they got chipped by a throwaway. When Ariu, well, in terms of Ariu, and that's how he looked at it. He's like, oh man, he's like, y'all dying that easy from that? Okay, easy clap. Easy clap.
No. He was surprised,
yeah. Yeah. Nah, but we'll see y'all next week. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel. We'll catch y'all later. Peace.
Peace.